I built an outbound outreach system with Claude Code that can run without me. So before I jump in, let me give a high level overview of how this works. So the first step is that we'll build the ICP, the ideal customer profile. Now, a lot of times we could skip this step because you'll have your ICP predefined within your agent. So anytime we're building out agents or workflows, especially on top of Claude Code, we want to give it the context to your business, to your offering, your products and services, your target market that you go after. So this step most of the time would be predefined. Then after we build the ICP, what we're going to do is build a list of accounts that match this ICP profile. And then once we have a list of these accounts, what we'll do is find the right key personas within each of these accounts. So who are the key decision makers? Who are the champions or influencers? And then from there, what we'll do is have the agent pull together some personalized messaging based on the research it's done on the accounts and on a personal level. So checking their LinkedIn or checking annual reports and so on. And then from there, what it will do is pull together a campaign. It will send back to us to review. And then once we've reviewed, it can go ahead and send this off. Now, in our case, what we're going to use is Instantly. So Instantly is a outreach platform for sending cold emails at mass. This can be replaced with the Gong. This can be replaced with SalesLoft, with Lemlist. Again, lots of other platforms out there. Or you can have it set up so the agent sends it from its own email or from your email itself. And then when we have a lead that responds to any of our inquiries, the agent can go in and respond accordingly. Now, this process in itself can be handled end to end with this system. But what we're going to do for the sake of a demo here is stop after each step just to show you how it works. So that being said, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to do it on my phone just to show you how easy and convenient this is. So let's say you're out and about on the go and you want to delegate tasks to your agent. Or let's say you're offline away from your desk, or before you go to bed, you want to delegate a few tasks for it to do in the background. So for that reason, I'm going to do it on my phone, but this can be done from your desktop as well. Right, so if you jump in on the phone, in this example, I'm going to be using Telegram, but this can be connected up with any messaging platform you might use, whether that be your Slack or WhatsApp or any other messaging tools. So as you can see here, earlier today, I was out for a coffee and took a picture of the receipt and sent it off to our agent here, who then goes and sends it to our accountant software. So it can do lots of different tasks that you give it. But in this case, let's run through the example I showed. So we're going to start off with the ICP. So it's come back with a few clarifying questions. Again, I'm going to keep a very high level here just for the sake of the demo. So for the name of the campaign, if you can name it UK Estate Agent Demo 1. And what we are doing is reaching out to estate agencies to offer them our AI and automation services. So what we do is build AI agents and automation workflows around how they currently operate. So that might be things like speed to lead, follow-ups, dealing with day-to-day admin tasks. Now, so what it will do is process it, come back, and it's likely going to come back with some more clarifying questions. As I said, I'll keep it a high level, but you can go as detailed and granular as you like. Okay, so we have a few more questions here. So we are targeting commercial and residential real estate businesses in the UK between 50 and 200 employees. The decision makers that we're aiming for are your managing directors, your CEOs, your owners, founders, senior members of operations and IT. And we are looking for businesses that are currently hiring for admin staff, for appointment setters, and that should do. Okay, so it's come back with a bit of a summary here. Target roles, pain points that I mentioned, buying triggers, decision process, common objections, and so on. So what I'm going to do is ask it to push it into our CRM, which is Notion, and then also pull together a PDF, just so it's a bit clearer. That's great. So if you can push this all into Notion, and then also if you could send me a PDF report with the summary of what you've just pulled together so far. From there, let's then move on to the next step of the process. Okay, so we can see it's come back with a nice branded, clean PDF summary of everything it's pulled together. So we have the campaign overview and a bit of an overview of the ICP that we defined. And then also what it's done is added it to our Notion. So if I pop over to Notion here, you can see all that information has been updated into our CRM as well. So from there, what we're going to do is focus on the next step, which is the account research. So if I just type in here, account research, again, it's come back with a few clarifying questions. I'm going to keep a high level. We can go as many accounts, as little accounts as you want. So for this campaign, if you can just pull together the top 10 accounts in our ICP. And then also it asks here around our Apify credits. So Apify is what's going to be used to scrape the details about each account, as well as scrape the details on each contact, scraping their LinkedIn, at the web, finding their emails, finding their personal details, and so on. So as you can see here, it's just clarifying if it's okay to proceed with that, because that's going to use up some API usage. Yes, that's fine to proceed, thanks. Now, so we'll give that a moment to process. So if I switch back to my desktop here, what we have on the screen is a command center. So this was put together by our agent, personalized to how I wanted it to be laid out. So what we can see here is what the agent is working on. So it's currently working on that task of pulling those accounts together. So this is running at the moment, but we can see the task that it's completed, or if there's any errors for whatever reason, we can see everything here. As well as that, we have other aspects which I can go through in a later video. But again, this was all laid out based on what I needed from my particular agent. Okay, so it's come back with a PDF of all the accounts, all the target accounts, bit of a summary, and each account is ranked in order based on how closely aligned it is with the ICP. So you have the company name, bit of an overview, why they're a good fit, some key signals, some risk factors, and then this scrolls on. So I went, did research on each of these companies, pulled together a report, and then also updated this into our Notion. And as you can see, it's also given it a fit score. So the fit score is how closely aligned it is to our ICP, as well as all the research that it's done, and then a link to the report. So if I go back, looks good. And then we're going to move on to the next step. So we're going to gather contacts within each account. So it's going to go now to search all the contacts. And again, it's just confirming the ICP with me, as well as confirming if it's okay to use some Apify credits. It's saying all 10 accounts as well. What I'm going to do is just to, this only demo, I'm going to ask you just to pull it from the top 5. So if you can go ahead and pull these contacts from just the top 5 accounts, and that's fine with the Apify credits, you're good to proceed. All right, so it's gone ahead and put together another report for us. So again, this is just an overview of all the contacts. I'll go through this briefly. It likely has some personal details on it. And then what it's done is updated this to our Notion, which is our CRM. So if we go to our Notion, we can see all the contacts there. We can see their role, if they're a decision maker, if they're a champion, a company. If I click on, we see just a bit of a breakdown on that person and so on. So let's go back to the Telegram and let's look at the next step, which is outreach. So we're going to have it craft the outreach. Okay, so that's fine. If you can move on to the next step of the process in putting together the outreach messaging. Okay, so we have a few more clarifying questions. So if you can target, let me talk to it here. You can go ahead and target all of the contacts that you put together. And yes, if we can do LinkedIn as well as email. And then let's just do a 3-touch sequence and keep the angle personalized, but very relevant. So don't use personalization for the sake of using personalization. Keep it relevant, valuable, and brief and concise. And we'll let it run and generate that. All right, so you can see it's come back with some messaging. So let me just scroll down here. Okay. It's quite a lot. Let's just look at Dan, for example. So Dan Foxton's acquisition means new reporting, new processes and pressure to match their tech stack. Okay, so like that opener, it's personalized. Obviously, there's an acquisition that's happened there. And then it just gives a bit of value on our end. We can set that up for, okay. And then just another example here. Okay, so that's a follow-up from this first email. And again, it's pointing on that post-acquisition. In this case, it is referring to the importance of having dashboards and looking at consolidating things. So the messaging here is actually not that bad. Let's see another example. So for Stuart, 40 years in a state agency means you've seen every tech pitch. I'll skip the buzzwords. Your team probably spends 15 to 20 hours a week. Okay, I'm not going to read through all this. But again, very personalized. And could probably do with a few corrections, but other than that, looks pretty good. For this example, I'm just going to continue with the next step. As I said, I'm not going to go and send these out. This is for demo purposes. Okay, so we have messaging for everyone here. Perfect, that looks good. If we can proceed to the next step of the process. Okay, so it's come back and it's completed that step, giving us a bit of a breakdown and looking to run the next step, which is campaign launcher, which is creating the campaign. Now, as I said, we're not going to send out these campaigns just for a demo, but let's ask it to move on to the next step. That's perfect. So yes, if you can move on to the campaign launcher step of the process. And then in the meantime, let's just go over to our CRM, our Notion, and just click on some of these contacts. So if I take Verona, for example, I'm just having a look here. I like the level of detail that it collected. So it didn't just capture loads of information that is irrelevant. It's boiled things down nice and concisely. So she's the CEO, she's the chairwoman in a state agency, so she's an industry influencer. She won IWIP Woman of the Year, so she's recognized as a leader. Yopa's hybrid model, and so mentioned their tech adoption mindset. And then in terms of outreach intel, it's stated that, look, she's a CEO, she's a top decision maker, she's highly regarded in her industry. Bit of a red flag is that she is very senior, harder to reach directly, and may need to go through their operations team first. So I like the level of detail that it's pulled across. It's not too much information for our CRM, nice, straight to the point. So let's go back to our Telegram, and we have, okay, so this is good. So I forgot to prompt it to go and collect the emails. So that's what I'll do now. And what I like is that it's giving me 3 options here. So it can manually look up these emails, it can use an email finder tool, or it can test different patterns. What I'm going to use is have it access our Appify. Appify is a scraping tool that we've connected to the agent so that it can grab such details. That's perfect. So if you can grab these email addresses using Appify or any other email finding tools that you can access, and then we'll leave that run. And again, I could have just been very vague and just said, that's fine, go and find the emails however you please or however you see best fit. And it will just go and figure it out, and it will try access what it needs to access. If it comes against any blockers, it can go figure it out and then move on to the next steps rather than breaking altogether. So I'll leave this run, but as I said, I'm not going to launch out this campaign. So I'll probably stop after this step rather than firing out emails that I don't necessarily want to be going out. Okay, so I can see that it's come back with a list of the emails. I'm just going to block this out, obviously sensitive information here. And next step is that it would push these into the campaign so instantly, and then we can trigger it to start sending out or schedule to start sending out. I'm going to leave it here for now, but what I'll do is I'll ask the rep just to summarize what it's done, send me a report as well as a voice note. That's perfect. If you can just pull together a bit of a voice note, maximum 150 words, keep it high level, keep it brief on everything that you've done so far in putting together this outreach campaign. As well as that, if you can also send across a PDF report that summarizes everything that you've done so far, and then we'll wait for it to come back with its response and its voice note. Okay, so as we can see, it's come back with a bit of a summary on the campaign, and then just a list of the top 5, just a recap. So a recap of everything it's done pretty much, as well as this voice note. So let's give it a listen.
Hey Ben, quick recap on the UK estate agent campaign. We've built the full outreach pipeline from scratch. Started with the ICP, targeting UK estate agencies between 50 and 200 employees. From there, we researched and ranked 10 target accounts, then activated the top 5, Haslams, Hunters, Bourne, Yopa, and Ashtons. We mapped 19 contacts across those 5 accounts, 11 Tier 1, decision makers including MDs, CEOs, owners, and board directors. Every single one has a personalised 3-touch email sequence ready to go. Unique angles per contact, not templates. LinkedIn outreach can run in parallel since we've got URLs for all of them. PDF reports attached with the full breakdown.
Great, so hopefully that gives you an idea of how these agents can work. As I said, this was set up on Claude Code, and you can get as flexible as you like. So connect with your CRM, connect to your outreach tools. You can run large volume campaigns. You can run more deeper, personalized campaigns. Again, it all depends on your process. How it runs off is feeding it skills or SOPs for it to then go and execute. So if you found this video interesting, give it a like. Let me know down below if there's any other use cases you'd like to see, or if you need help with setting up something similar for your business, you can check the link in the description. Thanks.